Morning, everybody. How you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I'm Sean Butler. Bugsy Malone's just up in front doing the things that she loves to do. We hope you are doing the things that you love to do with the people that you love doing them with. Please do me a favour, guys. Smash the like button for me on the video. If you don't mind, if you enjoy the content, you know by now how much it really helps the channel out. And on that note, massive thank you again for yesterday's performance from you lot with the like game. 1,500 likes, I think, hit the uploads. So very, very appreciative of that. Hit the subscribe as well if you haven't already. Even if you have, double check you still are. Hashtag YouTube shenanigans. Hit the notification bell and drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts on today's topic. I hope whatever they're doing over there isn't ruining the audio for you too much. Guys, let's get into some sort of Tottenham transfer news, views and clues for you. The first one is a story that's been out for a couple of days, but it's not a story that I really wanted to go into, because I feel like the original post, the original publication, the journal that came out with this particular link has caught me out in the past. I forget the name of it. I think it's Fantador or something. It's a Turkish publication, and they've got a habit of saying things are done when they're not. And if you've been a follower of this channel for a while, then you may remember such videos as Tottenham have signed Besiktas goalkeeper Altay Bayındır. Tottenham have signed Aktapoglu from Galatasaray. Tottenham are on the brink of signing Galatasaray centre-back Victor Nelson. All three of those stories didn't eventually happen. All three of those stories were written down by this particular publication as having been done. The contracts were signed and it was a done deal. So I don't know whether these things are lost in translation or whether this particular journalist and publication have just a habit of being liberal with the truth, shall we say. But anyway, so I was loath to bring this one to your attention, but subsequently in the last 24 hours, it's been picked up by the same story has been picked up by some English papers. I think it was in the Daily Express. Not that they are, massively reliable or relevant either. But then also some ITKs on Twitter that are considered tier 1 by whoever ranks these things. They're also saying the same thing, and that is about Besiktas number 10, creative midfielder, Sebastian Szymanski, I think is how you say it. 24-year-old Polish player who's come from Legia Warsaw's academy, played for them for a while, then came into Central Europe. I think he had a loan deal at Feyenoord before he moved over to Galatasaray. Has always had a fairly lofty valuation because of his output. His goals and assists ratios per minutes played is really strong. I think this season alone, in 21 games for Besiktas, he's scored 9 goals and got 9 assists. And I think in the 32 games that he's played for Besiktas in total, I think he's something like 12 goals and 16 assists. I could be wrong. You'll see the stats on the screen, so you'll see the truth on the video. And that sort of tail of the tape with him around his actual output is consistent since his younger days, 2018, 2019, when he was getting going. He's been predominantly, I think, in all seasons apart from one, I think he has got more than 10 goals and 10 assists, I believe. So great output. And if you look at his stats, and I'll bring them up, you'll see an interesting sort of story. And again, I don't watch Turkish football regularly, so I've had to use the Y-Scout tool, so my analysis of him is as good as I can provide. But let me know, again, in the comment section, if you guys are familiar with him, watch Turkish football, let me know, or Polish football, let me know if I'm wildly off point here. But he looks like a player who doesn't get on the ball too much. If you look at his passing stats and his kind of possession stats, they're all a bit kind of red bar-y. They're a bit mooted, mainly because he's not on the ball as much as many other midfielders are when you're comparing to other midfielders across the top 14 leagues. Again, because he's playing for a Turkish team, we're not comparing to the top 5 leagues in Europe, we're comparing to the top 14 leagues. Which doesn't really dilute the ratings, but it does obviously offer a bigger sample size of mediocre players. So have to keep that in the back of your mind. But in terms of In terms of what he does on the ball, like I say, he doesn't look like he's that involved throughout the game, but when he gets involved, he's incredible at finding the pass, finding the action, the shot creating action, the goal creating action, the chance creating action, whatever you want to call it. You can see it on the screen. He's incredibly good at finding a mechanism, a method to that particular move, resulting in an opportunity for his team, whether for himself or whether for someone else on the team. Now, I don't follow Besiktas again. I don't know them enough to know whether or not the rest of his stats that look a little bit kind of, like I say, mooted, a little bit unimpressive, is because his role in the team, the team is set up around him in order so that he doesn't have to get back and do too much defensive work. He doesn't have to, spray passes across the pitch. He's really the guy who they try to find, and then it's up to him to figure out how to complete the move. Or whether or not he's just the sort of player that doesn't really want to get back involved in more of the game. But in any event, like I say, for him, if you're going to summarise it, this guy is an output player. You give the ball to him and he'll do something magical with it, but don't expect too much more. And I'm not sure that sort of characteristic, if that is consistent with him rather than the team structure, I'm not sure that is what we're really looking for. I think £40 million is the valuation, according to the reports. And it's a lot of money for a player who, look, like I say, fantastic at doing what, ultimately is the most important thing, which is finishing his dinner. But in terms of the rest of it, not convinced. He's also incredibly lightweight, incredibly kind of fragile from the scout reports that I've read. He's not someone that fares very well in aerial duels, in ground duels. He's not someone that can handle the physicality of the game as well as others. And so, I don't know, does that kind of remind you a little bit of the frustrations with Brian Hill? Maybe. Obviously, Brian Hill has a lot of tricky creativity and technicalities. What frustrates me about him is that he can use his skills to get into good positions, but his decision-making at the end is poor. This guy doesn't have the poor decision-making. He has excellent decision-making. And from what I've seen of him in the Y-Scout clips, I think one of his brilliant assets is his ability to read the game, his spatial awareness. He can find the space in crowded areas to offer the outlet for the player with the ball, and then can do the right thing with it, to the point where, like I say, his goals and assists and his shot creating actions are right up there with the very best in and across the top 14 leagues. For me, guys, look, first and foremost, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about him. I think I'll sort of round off and go to the next story now, because it's coming from a source, or the original source is someone that's proven to be unreliable. And also, I just think that the price tag is a lot of money for someone that, for me, doesn't have a very well-rounded game. But like I say, I'm not that fussed about it, bothered about it, and I'll only talk about it again, really, if the story increases in intensity. Let me know, though, if you do know much about him and you've watched him. Am I correct in my analysis? I'll happily say I'm not an expert on this guy in the slightest way, shape or form, but it is what it is. Moving on, guys, to the second story of the day, and that is about an outgoing player, Emerson Royal, who has been linked with, reports yesterday, with going to Cristiano Ronaldo's team in Saudi Arabia. Is it Al Hilal? Al Ittihad? I'm not sure which team it is, to be honest. But anyway, one of the teams was owned by the PIF, and 20 to 25 million pound has been the price that's been mooted by the reports. Tottenham Hotspur rejected it out of hand, as did Emerson Royal. He apparently is very happy in London, and Tottenham are not interested in selling, at least not for that price. And it leads me to the kind of question I want to ask you guys. We spoke about this on last night's Tottenham Take show, which was really great, with Johnny, Dave and Henry. Go and check that out if you haven't already. But we wanted to kind of figure out, what is the correct valuation? Everyone's got his price, and Emerson Royal is not indispensable to Tottenham. But I think he's a very valuable player, and I think this particular story is one that divides a lot of opinion. Some people just don't rate him and think, you take what you can get and go and get someone better. I personally am on the other side of the conversation. I think he's very, very useful. He can come in and do a job. Okay, not a brilliant job, but he can do a job, a good job, at left back when needed, certainly at right back when needed. And obviously this season he's been deployed at centre-back and hasn't embarrassed himself in any way, shape or form. Tottenham have got a very strong and settled defence moving forward, a lot of youth, and we should be settled for a long time to come. But with someone like him, you have versatility. He's also a very, very strong character, very impressive work ethic, his willingness to improve himself. Don't forget, he spent £1 million of his own money trying to improve. Someone that's taken a lot of knockbacks, taken a lot of personal criticism from fans since he's been here, but continues to have a smile on his face. He's very popular in the dressing room. All of those things are very useful when you remember that Ange Postecoglou has said time and time again, give me the content of someone's character over the quality of their kind of capabilities all day long. And I think in Emerson Royal you have someone who certainly ticks the boxes that he's looking for from a mentality perspective. He's not the greatest player in the world by any stretch of the imagination, but what I think he offers us is options. I think that there's going to be chances for him to play at right back, and people are talking about maybe, you know, mixing things up where you put Pedro Porro at right, you know, as a right winger at times, or even Christian Romero could come in and play in that second 8 kind of area, or play as the inverted fullback. We're going to have injuries, and it's going to be difficult to find a player for the same sort of money, of the same or better quality, that can offer what he brings as a personality, offer the versatility and the utility that he provides as an outlet in the middle when needs be, or needs must, as a right back and as a left back. I don't really see it easy to find a replacement who will also be happy to know his role in the squad and tolerate and participate in a rotation system. In an ideal world, our injuries are behind us to the largest extent. We're still going to have things that are picked up here and there, so we're not going to need him as frequently as we have. But for me, £20 million is nowhere near enough, and I just don't think we can that easily go and find a replacement, at least not in January. So I'm very much on the side of the argument where he stays at Tottenham, and unless Saudi Arabia was to come in with a significantly higher bid, one that you can't really justify turning down, or a situation where he decided he wanted to leave and suddenly was no longer invested in the process, the project, similar to what we think we might be seeing with a player like Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. It's all about participation and buy-in. As I've said before, you know, it's a different conversation for teams like Manchester City, who have a 25-man squad, who are excellent in every position twice over, because those players that go there know that they're going to win trophies. Even if they're only playing 30% of the game time, they're still going to pick up winners' medals at the end of the season. Tottenham are trying to get to that point where you can convince players to come and be a part of a squad. Hello, mate. But can't offer that guarantee of trophies yet. And so, you know, finding that correct balance is difficult, and I don't think we necessarily need to upset the apple cart too much. So let me know, guys. Do you agree? Is there a price that you would accept for Emerson Royal? Do you think that, like I do, that, you know, for me the value add of someone like him is sometimes intangible? You know, like I said, I don't necessarily think it's going to be easy to find a better replacement for the money, unless you have serious money. And even then, if you up the quality, do you still have a player with the same personality and mental strengths? Not sure. I'm not sure. At some point, if they came back in with silly money, I think you'd accept it if he wanted to leave. But I'm very much okay with him staying and be a part of the squad. I'm a big fan of Emerson Royal. I love the fact that he didn't take the early criticism of his capabilities to heart, and instead he went about trying to improve himself at his own personal cost. That sort of effort, that sort of mental strength is, I think it's rare in life and should be celebrated and appreciated. And look, I'll be honest, I think his music is absolutely horrendous. So if he's going to improve anything, he needs to improve his, I don't know, his piano playing, whatever he's doing, his singing skills. I think he thinks he's, you know, Brazil's next idol. Anyway, That's it for me, guys. Emerson Royal story and Sebastian Szymanski. I'm going to say, if I'm honest, a no to both one of them coming in and one of them leaving, unless things were to change. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, bye-bye.